Hi everyone. If this is the first time that you're visiting my channel, welcome. For those of you who don't know me, my name is 𝐓𝐈𝐌𝐄𝐒, and on this channel, I aim to help you enhance your quality of life, whether it is academically, personally, or professionally. So the topic of today's video is how I graduated with distinction. So by that I mean how I graduated with distinction during my undergraduate years in university.
𝐓𝐈𝐌𝐍𝐃 with distinction.
So the way this video is going to be organized is in the first section of the video, I'll give a bit of a context as to how I went from being a low performing student in high school and college towards becoming a high performing student in university. In the second section of the video, I will provide 7 essential tips that I implemented during my undergraduate years to have top grades. So in university, I am considered one of the top 15 students, high achieving students in my program. Currently, I am in graduate school. And when I was an undergraduate school, I was also considered one of the high achieving students during my undergraduate years. So let's go all the way back to the beginning. When I was in high school, I essentially had very mediocre grades. I would sometimes or oftentimes fail my exams. I was in a health and science program during senior year, so that requires that you take courses like chemistry, physics, mathematics, like I believe linear algebra, and courses that are very intensive. And at the time, I didn't really know what I wanted to do in life. I just knew that mathematics and science were not my thing, but still, I felt that it was a safety blanket I was putting on myself to kind of get a job. Let's say I wanted to become a dentist. I was telling myself, okay, might as well just plow through this program so that in the end you can get paid well. Even if deep down in my soul, that's not the program that I wanted to do. So I remember in high school, senior year, I had this chemistry exam and I failed woefully. I had I believe 17% in my exam, and it was really bad, guys. I really was at the bottom. And I remember after graduating from high school and when I was enrolled in college, in the beginning of college years, I was also not doing well. I was also enrolled in health and science, and I would fail my chemistry exam, my calculus exams, and my physics exams. It was really bad to the point where I started to skip class. I was really not motivated, and I didn't know what my purpose was after graduating. So I would say that things started to take a different shift when I essentially wanted to be enrolled in a English university. So just to give you guys a bit of a context, throughout my high school and college experience, I was studying in French. And French is not a language that I've always been comfortable studying in, but mind you, my parents wanted me to be bilingual, and therefore I had to sit up and study in French, whereas I was more comfortable deep down studying in English. And the way that the education system is done here in Quebec, where I'm located, is that it's not like in America where you study in high school and then after high school college and university, I believed, are synonymous. Here in Quebec, that's not the case. After high school, you have to go through 2 years of college, and then afterwards you apply to go to university. So university and college here are completely not synonymous. So during my final years in college, I was determined more than ever to get out of college so that I could start studying in an English university. Therefore, I started putting more efforts into my studies in college and to get better grades, and my efforts ended up paying off because I got accepted into an English university called Concordia University, and that's the university where I'm still studying at to this day. And at the time when I was accepted, it was, I believe, during the winter of 2018. So I was accepted to start studying at the university in the fall of 2018 during that year. So I can't stress enough how this school has, Concordia University to be specific, has completely changed my life. I went from being a low performing student in college and high school towards becoming one of the highest achieving students in university. And I also want to highlight that God had his footprint tour in during my academic journey. The way he transformed my life, it's nothing short of a miracle. And I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for God. So now that we're on the second section of the video, in this section I will give you 7 essential tips that I implemented during my undergraduate years to have the top grades that I had at the time. And mind you, these tips are still habits that I implement till this day during graduate school, and they have still worked for me. So tip number 1, it is to ask your professor a lot of questions. So what you do when you start a course is that if, say, there are instructions that the professor has given, whether it's in the syllabus or in the outline of the course that you may not understand, don't just assume that later it will come to you. If you don't understand something, ask the professor right away. It could be during breaks during the course, or after the course, or during the professor's work office hours. Now, I know that some of you might think, oh, I don't want to bother the professor. I might as well just try to crack down what the professor means on my own. And I do not recommend this, because at the end of the day, you and your professor, you see the world completely differently. When they gave the instructions, they had a particular concept in mind that you cannot read their minds to understand. So it is very essential that the more you ask questions, the more you're able to really understand what the professor expects from you during exams or during essays. So I'll give an example. When I was an undergraduate, I was studying in political science, and I asked my professors a lot of questions, because when one of the main assignments we had to do as undergraduate students is to write essays. Essays, I'm talking about 10 to 12 pages of essays, and they would give instructions that if I never asked what they expected out of me for the essays, I would not have performed as highly as I did. And it was through my consultation with professors during office hours, through my attempt to really get to know them better, that I was able to understand what they expected of me, and I was able to therefore produce the grades that I was producing. So I can't stress enough how asking your professors a lot of questions goes a long way, because remind yourself that you're paying those professors to educate you. So make the most out of it. Seize the opportunity to really learn as much as you can from them, and don't have this scarcity mindset that you're bothering them, because remember, your grade is on the line. So tip number 2 is to make a to-do list. So I find to-do list very, very helpful, because they help me to hold me accountable, so that I know that, okay, on this particular day, I have this task to do so that I can complete my assignment. And on this next day, I have to do this task. And on the image that you can see here, this is an example of a to-do list that I have done, and you can take inspiration from it. It really helps me when I put bullets and I've completed a task and I'm just checking a box to see I've completed it. It really helps me it motivates me, because I know that, okay, I'm making progress towards achieving my goal, whether I made a to-do list for a week or for 2 weeks. This is very, very helpful. I can't stress enough how helpful a to-do list will really help you to get things done, especially when you need things to be organized in your life. And by the way, I use Notes, an app on Apple, to really write down those objectives. But if you don't have Notes, that's fine. You can write down your objectives by making a to-do list, whether it's on a notebook that you have, an agenda, or whatnot. That's very helpful. So tip number 3 is to romanticize your working environment and make studying fun. So I don't know about you guys, but when you know that you have, let's say, an exam or an essay to write, and you know that you are going to be sitting down for hours in front of your computer screen just to do your assignments or just to prepare for an exam, it can be very tedious and daunting. So try to incorporate things that will make the learning experience more fun for you. So what do I mean by that? Try to, I don't know, beautify your study space, make sure things are organized, and you can also be playing playlists that remind you of your childhood. I'll give an example. In my case, whenever I am studying for an exam or whenever I'm writing an essay in graduate school, I look online for a playlist, Studio Ghibli playlist. So for those of you who don't know, Studio Ghibli, it is a Japanese production company that have produced some of the most amazing anime movies that are one of my all-time favorites, such as Spirited Away, Princess Mononoke, and all of that. And whenever I play soundtracks from those movies that could go on for 2 to 3 hours, I am reminded of my childhood and it gives me happiness so that when I am studying, it reminds me of my childhood and it doesn't make me just focus on studying and make the experience less fun for me. I can't stress enough how beautifying your study space, incorporating little things that make you happy in your study space can really boost you psychologically so that you can get things done. So tip number 4 is to record your classes and take notes of the lectures after. So the thing is, oftentimes most of the content that your professor will be giving you during class are most likely going to be in an exam, or most likely going to be expectations that the professor requires of you for an essay, right? And depending on the the program that you're in, whether you're in sociology, psychology, or all of that, like just know that when there's a lecture intensive course, the professor is giving you a lot of contents that are most likely to appear in an exam. That's just based on experience for me. So when it comes to lectures, you can record your class and then after the class you transcribe everything that the professor said. But if you are not somebody that's patient that way, what I would recommend is you can record your lectures, listen to them after class or maybe the next day, and you essentially take note of key points that you think will appear in an exam. This is very helpful. Now, I know that for most professors in university, they don't allow recording of lectures because to avoid copyright infringement. So in that case, that is understandable because if you are recording the class and you're distributing it to other people like third parties, I don't recommend you do that. But if you're essentially recording it for your own use so that you can listen to it after and then once you're done with the course, you delete the recordings later, that is fine. And if you also want to be extra cautious, you can ask your professor, hey, can I record your lecture? It helps me to enhance my understanding, and no, I would not be sharing it with other parties. In most cases, in my experience, professors have accepted, so I don't see why they would say no to you. So tip number 5 would be to avoid procrastinating, okay? And I can't stress this enough. And by the way, if you see me looking down on it's because I am looking on my iPad where I have written down all the tips that I want to give you guys so that I don't forget. So when I'm talking about avoiding procrastinating, I mean that let's say you have an exam that is worth 30%, or let's say you have an essay that is due in a week or two. I highly recommend that you start writing the essay a week in advance, or if you really want to be cautious, do it 2 weeks in advance. The thing is, if you do start writing your essay 2 weeks in advance, you can say to yourself, okay, every single day I will incorporate 1 hour or 2 hours in my studies so that I can achieve my goal. I can finish writing the essay by the end of 2 weeks. If you're somebody that you really think 2 weeks is too much for you and you really want to shorten down that study time to a week, fine, you can do that, but just know that if the essay, let's say it is 12 pages or it is going to be 20 pages, then every single day maybe invest 3 hours or 4 hours into your studies. Depending on the study time you've given yourself, make sure that the objectives are very reasonable for your learning. That is very important. And the same goes for if you have an exam. If you know the exam is worth 30% and there's like a ton of chapters to cover in a textbook, let's say you have 6 chapters to cover for the exam, then start saying to yourself, okay, on day 1, I am going to cover 2 chapters. And on day 2, I will cover 2 chapters. On day 3, I will cover 2 chapters. And then on day 4, I would revise all the notes I have taken for my studies, make sure I have consolidated that information in my brain. And then on day 5, I can reach out to a colleague so that we can quiz each other and get started for the exam. On day 6, I would revise the entire thing by myself. And on day 7, do the same thing so that I can be well prepared for the exam. So this is what it looks like to plan your study time, because I can stress enough how when you do that, it really allows you to have a plan so that you know where you're going. If you know you have an exam and you're not well prepared, you don't organize your time like that, it's going to be very hard for you to organize yourself so that you can be prepared for the exam or an essay that you have to write. So I can stress enough how just avoiding procrastination by studying in advance, whether it's a week or 2, is very beneficial for your learning. So tip number 6 would be to create a group chat so that you can familiarize yourself with other classmates who may have a better understanding of the course that you're taking. And by adding a lot of classmates in the group, you will essentially benefit from their knowledge of the course, and then you can also contribute by also sharing knowledge that you may think may help your classmates to enhance their understanding of the course. So I can stress enough how creating a group chat will really help you to enhance your understanding. And I can understand for some of you, maybe introverts, and you are shy to create group chats. So in that case, you can also join a group chat. I've tried to familiarize yourself with classmates, and I can guarantee you that if there's an intense course that you're going to struggle with, chances are somebody in the class has already created a group chat, whether on Facebook or Discord. So try to join that group so that it can enhance your understanding significantly. So I'll give an example. As an undergrad, I was enrolled in my minor was human environments, where I had to take a lot of geography classes. And for some of these classes, they were very technical and I struggled in some of them, and I really didn't know what to do until I learned that there was a person in my class that he created a Discord page for all geography students. And ever since I joined, it really improved my grades significantly because I learned a lot from other students. Let's say I was struggling in some concepts, I would ask in the group chat and they would help to break down a lot of concepts for me. Or in some cases, I didn't even have to ask that much because there were other students who asked the questions that I wanted to ask. So I can stress enough how joining group chat or creating a group chat will really help to enhance your learning. And tip number 7, which is the final tip, is to familiarize yourself with study platforms such as Quizlet. Now, during my undergraduate years, I joined Quizlet, and it is a application, I believe, that helps to enhance your learning. So you get to create a lot of virtual flashcards where you write concepts, you write the definitions, and as you're doing these flashcards, after you can quiz yourself because the app will generate automated exams based on the flashcards you've done to test your learning, and then by the end they would give you a grade. And I believe now they have even incorporated AI. I haven't used the app in a few years, so I don't know how it looks like right now, but I can definitely vouch for the app because I used it during my undergraduate years when I was taking geography courses, and there were a lot of scientific technical terms that I had to learn to prepare for my multiple choice exams during these undergraduate years. So I can't stress enough how Quizlet is such an amazing tool, and I believe the app also provides you with multiple textbooks, whether it's calculus textbooks, physics textbooks, chemistry textbooks for free to help you enhance your understanding. So please familiarize yourself with the app. I'm aware that I believe you have to subscribe to get all access to the textbooks and access to a lot of features on the app. And honestly, I recommend that you subscribe. I believe the annual subscription is $45. I remember at the time when I wasn't working, I really wanted to use the app, and access all of its features. So I asked my parents to help me with that, and they were more than happy to do so. So in your case, you can ask your parents to help you get an study app to enhance your understanding. In most cases, from what I've seen, parents are open to doing that if they know it's to help their child excel in their studies. So give it a try. But if you really can't afford it and your parents are not going to help you, then that's okay. Okay, you can still use Quizlet, and it's still going to be something you can use even if you don't subscribe. And by the way, no, this video is not sponsored by Quizlet, just to put it out there. So if you've made it this far to the video, thank you so much. I hope that the tips that I gave were somewhat helpful. And if you found any of the tips helpful, please let me know which particular tip you found helpful, or if there are any of these tips that you implement during your studies that have helped you. I would love to know your study experience, your study journey. So please don't be shy and give a comment below. And also, please don't forget to subscribe if you benefited from this content, and to like this video. It really helps to push my video to some people who may also benefit from this video as well. So thank you so much. I wish you guys a happy new year. Bye.